Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So the rumor of a split between Derrick James and Anthony Joshua is resurfacing. According to some reports, Anthony Joshua is set to have Ben Davidson as his trainer for his upcoming fight on December 23rd. And it is claimed that he plans to return to Derrick James afterwards. Now, it's interesting because, as I mentioned before, this rumor had surfaced probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Derrick James was actually asked about this particular rumor. So I'm going to quickly play this clip from Derrick James so we can hear exactly what he had to say in regards to the rumors that he is splitting from Anthony Joshua.
And then I guess there was reports that you and Anthony Joshua is going to maybe look at Ben Davidson or something. What could you tell us about that, man?
Hey, man.
You went 2-0. You finished undefeated with him, if that's your last fight.
Hey, man, people start all these rumors or whatever. I'm not going to even, it's stupid.
So that's just some rumor. It's not even.
Put like this. I saw somebody report on it, right? And I was like, okay, well, I know the person who was reporting on it. If they really wanted to know, they could have just called me and asked me. But I think it's better for him or them to report something that's not true than to, because then it's like we get paid in clicks or whatever. I think that's what it is. So it's better for them to report something that's not true and never have to apologize for, I was wrong.
Right.
Say whatever, so report it. Because if they wanted to know, they really wanted to know about it, then they could have just asked me.
Are you and AJ still working together then?
Hey man, come on, man.
I'm trying to get the bottom line, so there's no more speculation.
I mean, I'm not gonna even, because it's like this. What's funny about it is it doesn't even need to be talked about, because somebody, I don't know, people like this. People made up the Frank Martin. First they made up Errol. Then they made up Frank, now it's AJ.
Right.
So tomorrow's gonna be Ryan, obviously, whatever. So I think it's leave me out in the cold, man. I don't know what to say.
So that was Derrick James from a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, responding to those rumors in regards to Anthony Joshua. So there's a couple of things. Now, first, I want to preface my comments by saying that I'm a fan of Derrick James. I'm a fan of that entire camp and what they've been doing and the work that he's been doing with his fighters. There's been a lot of scrutiny that's been coming the way of Derrick James since really starting, I guess, with the Frank Martin performance, and then, of course, culminating with the performance of Errol Spence and Jermell Charlo. So he's been getting some criticism. I think the criticism with Errol is warranted, right? Because when things go that badly, everybody deserves some blame, right? So I don't have a problem with that. The other two, he can't get in the ring and fight for Mel. He cannot necessarily force Frank to listen, although a case can be made that that's the trainer's call, right? There's a disconnect between the trainer and the fighter when the fighter is not listening to the trainer. So I understand all that. And I get it. But for me, when you think about what you're hearing in regards to, this isn't the first time we've heard that AJ is splitting from him. And if Ben Davidson truly is going to be his trainer on December 3rd, then I can tell you that Derrick James is on the outs, right? There's no way he's going to go to Ben Davidson for one fight, and that's just it. It makes absolutely no sense. You've only been with Derrick James for 2 fights. It makes sense to get further acclimated with Derrick James by going through another full training camp with him and not substituting him for Ben Davidson and then going back to him. That makes no sense to me. So if he truly does have Ben Davidson in his corner on the 23rd, then I would venture to say that Derrick James is out. I'm a proponent, I'm a believer that where there is smoke, there is fire. Now, he addressed the whole Frank rumor in this particular interview with Fight Hype that, they came up with Frank and now they came up with this and so forth and so on. By the way, when Sean Zattel asked him specifically Was there a split? He's trying to get the truth out of the matter. Derrick basically avoided the question, right? He didn't actually answer it. He just basically said, I'm going to tell you like this. It was Frank, then it was, tomorrow it'd be Ryan, so forth and so on. It was Errol, all this other stuff. He didn't actually answer the question. And to me, that's always a sign that there may be some truth around that. Just as an example, when Steven Espinoza answered the question in regards to Showtime and whether or not Showtime would continue with boxing, he just basically said that, I'm going to answer it in the same way. We're going to continue putting on the best fights, and that's the way we've always answered it. Nah, that's not true. You guys can answer it outright and say that you're not going to be in boxing. And so, again, where there's smoke, there is fire. Mentioned the Frank Martin situation that came from the Spit Bucket podcast. As far as I know, and from what I've been told based off of just conversations that I've had with people who know these gentlemen, they're solid in the Dallas area and have some connection. So I would venture to say that what they were saying had some validity. I can't necessarily verify that, but just based off of their reputation with people that I know, I'm pretty sure that what they were saying was factual. So just so you guys are aware, I have heard that there's been rumblings over there in that camp myself. I've never reported on it because, I can't validate any of that, but I've heard that there's been rumblings over there in that camp. Again, where there is smoke, there is fire. So you have to start asking yourself and wondering, again, what's next coming out of that camp? If AJ truly moves on, maybe there is a little bit of friction in regards to Errol and Derrick James. Now, I know Derrick James mentioned that when the report came out that supposedly EJ was thinking about splitting off with him, maybe considering Gervonta Davis as coach. I know that he said that he was at Errol's house or Errol was at his house. I can't remember which one it was, and they kind of laughed about it. But I mean, you got to wonder if AJ walks away, is Errol possibly next? Is Frank next? The Spit Bucket podcast mentioned that Frank was interested in going back to his old coach. There's too much going on, and there's too many things that are coming out of that camp. Not necessarily coming out of that camp, if you will, but too many things that are surfacing in regards to that camp that would make me believe that there's got to be something going on over there. And again, I've heard from someone that I think is a pretty good source that there is something going on over there. Now, it may not materialize into anything. Errol may finish his career with Derrick James. I have absolutely no idea. I'm not reporting that Errol Spence is going to move on from Derrick James. I do not know if Errol Spence is going to move on from Derrick James, nor do I know if Frank Martin is going to move on from him or Ryan Garcia. I have no idea. I'm not even sure if AJ is going to move on from him. But you keep hearing this stuff. And what people will try to have you to believe is that everything that's out there is just a rumor. It's not true, so forth and so on. But again, a lot of times when this stuff keeps surfacing from different sources, not just people that are out there that just have an issue with a particular entity or group of people, but just, reporters here or, you hear comments there or, from podcasts here. A lot of times, a lot of this information is coming directly from the athletes you're getting this stuff from, or people that are around the athletes that have access to this knowledge, right? People who would know whether or not a situation is occurring. So it is what it is. I'm curious to see what ends up happening in that camp. And you guys tell me what you think in the comment section in regards to this. Is AJ making the right move from stepping away from Derrick James, if in fact he's truly thinking about going back to Ben Davidson? Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and I am